My brother tried to kidnap my wife with chloroform in the middle of the night, but when I caught him in our bedroom with zip ties and a ring, police discovered my mother was helping him and covered up his crimes for years. I'm 30 years old, work as a software developer, and I need to tell this story because what happened with my younger brother literally destroyed my family and almost cost me my marriage. Or I mean, not the marriage itself. But I almost lost my wife. In the worst way possible. When I say the worst way, I'm not exaggerating even a little. And the most messed up part of all this is that my own mother helped make it happen. Can you believe that? Your own mother helping your brother basically try to kidnap your wife. But anyway, I guess I should start at the beginning, when things were still normal. Or at least I thought they were normal. I met Lauren about 4 years ago at a coffee shop, one of those kind of cliche things where she was having a latte and I spilled my coffee walking past her table, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours straight. She's a high school art teacher. She's 29 now, and from day one I thought she was incredible, like really special. What I didn't know at that moment is that she had lost her parents when she was 20, a car accident, and she basically had no close family, just some distant cousins she saw every 2 or 3 years. We got married after 9 months of dating, and yeah, I know that sounds fast, but when you know what I mean? My family at that time seemed pretty normal, or at least that's what I thought. There's my older sister Nicole. She was like 32. My younger brother Tyler, who had just turned 28, and my mom Deanne, who was around 54 years old. My dad had died when I was 19, so we'd already been over 10 years without him. The thing is that Tyler was always kind of the spoiled one of the house, you know, the baby of the family, and my mom never said no to anything he wanted. He worked in sales or something like that. Not very well, honestly, but he always had money because my mom would give it to him when he needed it. Nicole and I had basically become independent and were living our lives, but Tyler, never fully matured, I guess. After the wedding, Lauren suggested we move close to my family because she didn't have hers and wanted to be part of something. Wanted to have that experience of family dinners and gatherings. All those things she had lost. I thought it was sweet, honestly, and I missed my family too, so we moved to a house like 20 minutes from where my mom lived. The first few months everything was going well. We'd have Sunday dinners. My mom adored Lauren. Nicole had become like her older sister. And Tyler, well, Tyler seemed happy for me. I mean, I thought he seemed happy for me. Tyler's visits started out normal. He'd come by like once a week. We'd have some beers, watch the game, brother stuff. But then he started showing up more often, like 3 or 4 times a week, always with some excuse that he was passing by or wanted to see if we needed anything. And he started bringing gifts. Not for me, for Lauren. At first they were small things, like chocolates or flowers, and I thought, well, he's being nice to my wife. That's good, right? But then the gifts got more expensive and more personal. He bought her a really expensive necklace, like it must have cost $1,000 or more, and when he gave it to her, he said something like he had seen her eyes and thought of this necklace. Lauren felt uncomfortable but accepted it to not be rude, and I just stood there thinking it was weird but not wanting to make a big deal out of nothing. Then came Tyler's birthday dinner. I think it was in July or August last year. I don't remember exactly. But we were all at my mom's house, like 15 people between family and Tyler's friends. The dinner was going well until Tyler stood up to give a speech. You know, one of those thank you speeches people give on their birthdays, and everything was going normal until he looked directly at Lauren and said, in front of everyone, that she would have been perfect for him, and that I just got to her first. He literally said those words, that I got there first. There was an awkward silence, one of those that feels eternal, and then people laughed nervously like it was a joke, but I saw Lauren's face, and she was pale, and Nicole's face was also like, what the hell just happened? My mom just smiled and said something like, oh, Tyler always such a joker. But it wasn't a joke. I knew it. Lauren knew it. Everyone there knew it. That night in the car on the way home, Lauren finally told me what had been happening for months. She told me that Tyler had been standing too close to her when I wasn't around, that he made comments about her clothes or her hair, that once he tried to hold her hand when they were alone in the kitchen, that he told her things like she deserved to be with someone more exciting than me. She told me she hadn't wanted to tell me before because she didn't want to cause problems in my family, especially because she didn't have her own family and didn't want to be the reason I lost mine. When she told me all that, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, like I couldn't breathe right. My own brother had been harassing my wife for months and I hadn't noticed. And on top of that, she'd been carrying that alone to protect me. The next day, I went straight to Tyler's house, didn't even call ahead, just knocked on the door, and when he opened, I told him we needed to talk. I explained that Lauren had told me everything, that his behavior was completely inappropriate, that he needed to stay away from her, and that if he couldn't respect those boundaries, then we couldn't keep seeing each other. And you know what he did? He laughed. He literally laughed in my face and told me I was being paranoid, that he was just being friendly with my wife because she's part of the family now, that Lauren had probably misinterpreted his friendly intentions. He told me I'd always been the jealous and controlling brother, which is a complete lie because I'd never been like that in my life. The conversation ended with him saying he was going to keep visiting the family whenever he wanted, and that if I had a problem with that, it was my problem, not his. I told my mom about the conversation, thinking she was going to support me, that she was going to talk to Tyler about his boundaries and his behavior. But instead, she told me I was overreacting, that Tyler was just an affectionate kid who wanted to get along with his sister-in-law, that I should be happy that my brother and my wife got along well. When I mentioned the birthday comment, she said it was just a joke in bad taste, that Tyler had had a little too much to drink that night. Nicole was the only one who supported me. She told me she had also noticed Tyler's behavior and thought it was disturbing, but that she hadn't said anything because she thought I had already seen it and was handling it. The following weeks were tense, very tense. Tyler kept showing up at my mom's house when he knew we'd be there, and I basically didn't leave Lauren alone with him for even a second. I could see she was getting more and more uncomfortable, like she didn't want to go to family gatherings, and I didn't blame her at all. One night she told me she missed having a family, but that this didn't feel like family. It felt like being trapped in a dangerous situation, and she was right, completely right. Then, like 2 months after all this drama, I got a job offer in Kansas City, in Missouri. It was a good position, better pay, but most importantly, it was like 5 hours away from my family. I talked to Lauren that night and I didn't even have to ask. She said yes immediately. That we needed that fresh start away from Tyler. We told Nicole we were moving. But we didn't tell Tyler or my mom. We just told them we were moving houses but didn't give them the new address or tell them what city. My mom got really angry. Said I was being cruel taking Lauren away from the family, which was ironic considering it was her son, who was making Lauren feel unsafe. We moved in February of this year, I think, or maybe it was March. I'm not sure, but I do remember it was still cold. We got a nice house in a quiet neighborhood, Lauren got a job at a local high school, and I started my new job. For the first time in months, Lauren looked relaxed, like really happy and calm. We lasted like 3 weeks like that. 3 weeks of peace where we thought we'd left all that drama behind. And then Tyler showed up at our door with a bouquet of red roses. I can't describe the panic I felt when I opened the door and saw him standing there smiling like nothing. Like it was completely normal that he had driven 5 hours to show up at a house whose address he wasn't supposed to have. Lauren was in the living room, and when she heard his voice, she froze, literally became immobile on the couch. Tyler tried to come in, but I blocked the door and asked him how the hell he'd gotten our address. He said he had his ways, that we couldn't hide from him forever, that Lauren and he needed to have a real conversation without me interfering. I told him to leave or I'd call the police. And he left. But before leaving, he said, "I'll be back. Nathan, she's going to realize eventually that she should be with me." I called Nicole immediately after Tyler left, and what she told me chilled my blood. Turns out Tyler had broken into her house when she wasn't there, had gone through her desk and found a card I'd sent her with my new address so she could visit us. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is that Nicole had been cleaning Tyler's room at my mom's house a few days before. My mom had asked her to do it because Tyler still kept stuff there, even though he didn't live in that house anymore. And Nicole found a box full of photos of Lauren. Not normal photos from family gatherings, no. Photos that Tyler had secretly taken of Lauren shopping at the grocery store. Of Lauren leaving her old job. Of Lauren walking down the street. There were like 100 photos, maybe more. And there were also audio recordings of Lauren talking, like Tyler had recorded conversations without her knowing. Nicole said, "When she confronted my mom about this, my mom just said that Tyler had strong feelings for Lauren and that he needed to process his emotions somehow." After that call with Nicole, I told Lauren everything about the photos and recordings. She broke down, literally started crying and shaking, and told me that for months she'd felt like someone was watching her but thought she was being paranoid. She wasn't being paranoid. Tyler had been stalking her for months, and neither she nor I had known. That night, neither of us slept well. She woke up scared every 2 hours, and I stayed awake listening for any noise outside the house. Things got worse. Much worse. Tyler started showing up at places where Lauren was. He'd follow her when she left the art supply stores she visited for her class. He'd show up in her school parking lot even though she left at different times each day. And once Lauren called me from a cafe saying Tyler was sitting at a table across the place just staring at her. We called the police several times, but they could never do much, because technically Tyler wasn't directly threatening her. He was just showing up in public places, as the cops said. They recommended we apply for a restraining order, but for that we needed to document a pattern of harassment and specific threats. Lauren started having panic attacks, couldn't sleep, stopped going anywhere alone. I basically became her shadow. I went everywhere with her, even waited outside her classroom between periods. Her students started asking if everything was okay because they could see she was distracted and scared. She had to tell her principal what was happening, and the principal assigned extra security around the building. But that only made Lauren feel more like a prisoner than a protected person. Then Tyler discovered that Lauren went to a park near our house in the mornings to draw and clear her mind before going to work. It was like her moment of peace, the only moment where she tried to feel normal again. I couldn't go with her because I started work early, and she insisted she needed at least 30 minutes for herself or she was going to go crazy. For a week, everything was fine. She'd go to the park, draw for a while, and then go to work. But the second week, I got a call from Lauren at 7 in the morning. She was crying so hard she could barely speak, and all I heard was, "He's here, he's here, he's here." I left my job without telling anyone, drove like crazy to the park. And when I got there, Lauren was in her car, with the doors locked, and Tyler was standing outside her window, tapping on the glass and telling her he just wanted to talk to her. I got out of the car, pulled him away from her window. And this time I wasn't nice. I yelled at him that if he came near Lauren again, I was going to kill him. Literally told him that. Which probably wasn't smart, but I was so angry and so scared I didn't care. Tyler just smiled. That smile that gave me chills, and said she knows she wants me, Nathan. She's just afraid to admit it because she doesn't want to hurt you. The police arrived a few minutes later because someone at the park had called 911, but again, they couldn't do anything more than tell Tyler to leave, and they took a report. That night, I didn't let Lauren be alone for even a second. We slept with all the doors and windows locked, with a baseball bat next to the bed. I barely slept. Every noise woke me up, and I could hear Lauren crying softly all night, even though she tried to do it quietly so as not to worry me more. The next day, I hired a security company to install cameras around the house, sensors on all the doors and windows, and alarms that activated if anyone got too close to the property. I told my boss what was happening, and he gave me permission to work from home for as long as necessary. Like 2 weeks passed where we didn't see Tyler, and we started thinking that maybe he'd finally given up, that maybe the police intervention had worked. Lauren was seeing a therapist 3 times a week, was taking anxiety medication, and slowly, very slowly, was starting to feel a little safer again. We even talked about maybe adopting a big dog to have extra protection and company for Lauren when I had to go out. And then, what still gives me nightmares every night happened. It was a Wednesday, I think, like 3 in the morning. I woke up because I heard the back door alarm sound for a second and then turn off, like someone had deactivated the sensor. I got up slowly, thinking maybe it was a system malfunction or something, and then I saw that our bedroom door was open when I knew with absolute certainty, that I had locked it before we went to sleep. I turned on the light, and what I saw is going to be burned in my mind forever. Tyler was sitting on the edge of Lauren's bed, on her side of the bed, holding her hand while she slept. He had a duffel bag on the floor next to him, and when he saw me, he just put a finger to his lips like telling me to be quiet. I didn't think. I just reacted. I jumped on him and threw him to the floor, and Lauren woke up screaming, not understanding what was happening. Tyler tried to fight, but I was operating on pure instinct and adrenaline. I held him against the floor while yelling at Lauren to call 911. The police arrived in like 5 minutes that felt like an eternity, and when they checked Tyler's duffel bag, they found duct tape, zip ties, chloroform, and an engagement ring. A fucking engagement ring. Tyler had broken into our house in the middle of the night with the intention of drugging Lauren, tying her up, and taking her away. And it probably would have worked if I hadn't woken up when I did. Tyler was arrested immediately, and as they were taking him out of the house, he looked at me and said, "This isn't over, Nathan. She's going to come to me eventually. It's our destiny." 2 officers stayed with us the rest of the night because Lauren was in complete shock, couldn't stop shaking or crying, and I honestly wasn't much better. I called Nicole at like 5 in the morning and told her what had happened, and she started crying too, saying she should have done more, that she should have gone to the police with the photos she found, that this was partially her fault, even though I told her 1,000 times it wasn't. The investigation that followed revealed things that still make me feel sick. Turns out my mom had been in constant contact with Tyler this whole time, giving him information about our schedules, about where Lauren worked, about our daily routines. They checked my mom's text messages, and there were hundreds of messages between her and Tyler where she basically gave him updates on Lauren, like she was helping her son stalk her, which is exactly what she was doing. When the police interrogated her, my mom said Tyler was truly in love and that she was just helping her son follow his heart, as if that justified helping a stalker pursue a terrified woman. But that wasn't all. The investigation also discovered that Tyler had done this before, that he had stalked 2 other women in the past 5 years, and that my mom had paid both of them not to press charges and keep everything quiet. One of the women had accepted like $10,000 to move to another state and sign a non-disclosure agreement, and the other had accepted $5,000 plus a few months of paid rent. My mom had been covering up Tyler's behavior for years, protecting him from the consequences of his actions and allowing it to escalate to the point where he literally tried to kidnap my wife. The legal process was long and exhausting, but in the end, Tyler pleaded guilty to stalking, breaking and entering, and attempted kidnapping. He got 4 years in prison, which honestly didn't seem like enough to me considering what he tried to do, but the prosecutor said without an actual completed kidnapping, it was hard to get a longer sentence. My mom was charged as an accessory to stalking and obstruction of justice for her previous actions covering up Tyler's other cases, and she got 3 years probation plus a ton of community service hours. Nicole testified against both of them, against Tyler and against my mom, and that basically destroyed her relationship with my mom forever. But Nicole said she'd do whatever was necessary to make sure Lauren was safe. After everything was over, we moved again, this time to a house across town, in a neighborhood where nobody knew who we were or what we'd been through. Lauren cut her hair, dyed it blonde when before it was brown, and started wearing glasses all the time even though she only needed reading glasses. She said she wanted to look different, that she didn't want to look like the person Tyler had been chasing. She still goes to therapy twice a week, still takes anxiety and sleep medication, and there are days where she can't leave the house without having a panic attack. I cut all contact with my mom, blocked her number, blocked her social media, and made it very clear I never want to see or talk to her again. She tried sending me letters asking for forgiveness, saying she was just being a mother protecting her son, but I burned every one of those letters without reading them. There's no possible forgiveness for what she did, for how she endangered Lauren just because she couldn't accept that her son was a dangerous stalker. Nicole is the only family I keep in contact with. She comes to visit us every 2 months or so, always gives advance notice, and never mentions my mom or Tyler unless we bring up the topic. Tyler gets out of prison in less than 3 years now, and that's something that keeps us up at night. We've already talked to a lawyer about getting a permanent restraining order when he gets out, and we're considering moving again to a completely different state, maybe Colorado or Washington, somewhere Tyler would never think to look for us. Lauren says she doesn't want to live in fear forever, that Tyler already took enough of her life, but the reality is, we'll probably always be looking over our shoulders, always be checking that doors are locked, always be wondering if that car parked outside is just a neighbor or something more. 2 days ago, Lauren found a dead butterfly on our porch and had a complete panic attack because Tyler used to bring her gifts with butterflies. Remember I mentioned the gifts at the beginning? Well, turns out many of those gifts had butterflies as a design. The butterfly probably just died there by chance. But for Lauren, it was like Tyler was sending her a message even from prison. I had to calm her down for 2 hours, reminding her that Tyler has no way of knowing where we live now, that he's locked up, that she's safe. But words only help so much when the trauma is so deeply rooted. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to live normally again, if Lauren will be able to go to the grocery store without constantly looking around her, if we'll be able to sleep without every noise waking us in panic. What I do know is that I love my wife more than anything in this world, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure she's safe, even if that means cutting contact with the rest of my family, even if that means moving every few years, even if that means sleeping with a loaded gun on the nightstand forever. Tyler took my mother and my brother from me, but he's not going to take Lauren, I can promise you that.